Hey guys, Matt here, and today I am back for day number 24 of r/ProRevenge. We are, after this episode, we're literally in the last week of ProRevenge, and then we'll be moving on to Nuclear Revenge. I cannot say nuclear, apparently. But today I have only two stories. I'm probably going to just be doing one or two stories, maybe three, depending on length. Because a lot of these stories end up getting long to read. First, let's start with this one. Scam me for $80 for cleaning. On move out? I don't think so, Jack. TLDR at the bottom. Background. About 10 years ago, my landlord died. That's a good starter sentence. Or at least the person who owned the place we were renting. The property managers had been delightful, but whoever inherited wanted to sell, so the house was for sale. Enter a jackass. We'll call him Jack, who decides to buy the place. Now ours was the top floor, i.e. the attic, converted into a suite of a house less than 35 square meters, 375 square feet. The bathroom was literally where the stairs up to the top floor used to be. The place was tiny. Jack came to check out the place, as you should before buying a place. He had one of those Bluetooth earpieces in, and I can't even remember if he even acknowledged us. He spent about 30 to 45 seconds in our suite. Next time we hear from him is about a month later. Apparently he bought the place. He stops by to give us a notice of rent increase effective in 6 months, a legal minimum. From $485 to $795. The place is not worth that much. We say nuts to that and decide to buy a house, since what the hell, it's not much more per month. Surprise to anyone who's never bought a house, it was more than just mortgage payments. We give him all the required notice to move out. We move and clean the place up really well. Mind you, when my partner moved it in, it was not especially clean, and we happened to have the move-in inspection which mentions this. Jack decides to try to scam us for $80 of our damage deposit for cleaning. He doesn't provide the required forms, just says, I'm going to hold $80 from your damage deposit for cleaning. We respond with, no, you're not. Jack, assuming we need the cash for our next damage deposit or bills and will sell for anything, take this or I'm going to keep your whole deposit. Cue revenge. So he decides to keep the whole deposit at $485. I file paperwork with the rentals men, who, unsurprisingly, after their investigation, rule in my favor. He's ordered to refund the whole deposit, but Jack decides not to pay, and the retailsman doesn't have any enforcement powers. So I have to go to the local sheriff's office. They send a legal demand letter for the deposit and costs, but it will cost me $100 to $150, I forget, up front. Sure, go ahead. Jack decides to ignore the sheriff's kindly letter. Sheriffs say that they can start proceedings to recover the debt and costs, but I again have to pay up front, about $250, and it might take quite a while. I guess most people quit at this point, being out of pocket minus $700, around $700. Throwing more money at the problem and maybe having to wait months didn't appeal to them, and there's also a chance you never collect. I chose to pay the sheriffs. They sent another less friendly letter to Jack, but here's the best part. Now that they're recovering a debt, they're going to recover on all of the outstanding judgments against him. And apparently, he has tried this shit before. They sent him another couple of letters. Pay up or else. Jack chose else. Then they seized title to Jack's giant white SUV. I can't remember what it was, but not a cheap one. They didn't physically take it away or anything, but they gave him 30 days to pay all the judgments against him, or they would take it and sell it at auction. Somehow he all of a sudden found the money. My share of 485 plus 150 plus 250, $885. The other people who registered judgments but not paid to start the collections process were about 5,000 more. I can't remember how long the whole process took. At least 6 months though. TLDR, landlord tries to scam us for $80 for cleaning when we move out. Ends up costing him about $6K. $80. Oh my gosh! If you're gonna be that nickel and dime about scamming people, don't go for 80. Go for like 10. You go cheap. You don't do the work, and you're scamming small amounts that will build out over time as more and more people get fooled by you. Although, you should not be scamming in the first place. Don't take my advice as fact. Sometimes you gotta advocate for the bad guy. Let's just move on to the other story. Block my promotion? You silly man. This was a few years ago. I got a job in a cinema. Oh, I was 4 or 5 years older than most of my co-workers, whom it was most of their first jobs. Having had a couple of jobs previous and a few years of maturity under my belt, I quickly became a very valued employee. So much so, I was given a promotion to supervisor within 6 months. The general manager loved me. I was a Swiss Army knife. I would take care of projection duties when the projection manager was at our other sites. I dealt with the busy periods very calmly and was able to diffuse potential situations before they got worse. I was very good at my job. I'd be in charge of the building when whatever manager was there had to step out. We had one GM and 4 floor managers. They all liked me because I made their jobs a lot easier. When I was working, they didn't have to work as hard, and when it wasn't busy, they didn't have to work at all. 2 years go by, and I'm one of the floor managers, and one of the floor managers says she's leaving in 3 months. Without having to say it, I know I'm going to get her position. They always hire internally, and I am head and shoulders above my co-workers. This is where it gets interesting. Let's call this manager Blobby. So Blobby takes a stock take every Thursday. I always work Thursday mornings in projection, so for the last couple of years I had a standing arrangement to drink with my pals on a Thursday night. I fucking loved my Thursday drinks. I worked most weekends, so this was my Saturday night. One Thursday I'm doing my projection checks, and the GM says that Blobby is sick. Would I be able to do the stock take? Fuck it, I'll do it. At 9 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. we have to count the stock at retail after we close, hence the late finish. It's a horrible shift, but the brownie points are worth it. So next week comes along, and instead of doing my projection shift on Thursday, I'm in to do a stock shift. I asked the GM what's going on, and he said Blobby requested me in. Even though me and the GM get on really well, he's gonna side with his manager over his supervisor. I explain I go out Thursday nights, and Blob says, "Listen, dude, I'm actually doing you a favor. When the manager job comes up, and you know how to do stock take and orders, it will look fantastic, and you will 100% get the job. Makes sense. I grit my teeth and go along with it. It makes sense to learn another avenue of the job. So Thursday nights come around and Blobby sits at his desk with his feet up while I basically do his job. It's not a difficult task, and after a month it's a piece of piss. Let me paint a picture of Blobby. He's short, fat, and balding. He appears, thinks he's cool, but he's really not. Really isn't. Think David Brent from The Office. I haven't seen The Office. What version are you talking about, though? Are you talking like the UK version, the American version? Keep him on your side, and work is a lot easier because he can be quite petty. But what he does next was far from petty. 3 months go by, and we have 1 week left before our manager leaves. They start the interview process, but for some reason the owners decide to sit in and do the interviews. Really strange. So the interview starts, and I'm hit with, how do you expect to be a manager if your timekeeping is so poor? I have a list of times I clocked in late. 5 minutes here, 7 minutes there. The thing is, timekeeping wasn't an issue. You come in late the odd time, and then they need you to stay back. And then if they need you to stay back, most would. Take a penny, leave a penny scenario. But these guys go to town on me. They have surveillance footage of me taking in a delivery, which isn't part of my job, without wearing a high-vis jacket. Your complete lack of concern for safety regulations is appalling. Emails from a few irate customers over the years that complained about me. I'd done the right thing in all those circumstances, but taken out of context, looks like I was in the wrong. I've given up fighting my corner. I know I'm not getting this promotion. My co-worker got it. If it wasn't me, I was happy it was her. She was also very good at her job and would no doubt make him a fine manager. So after giving so much for the company over 3 years, I found myself doing things half-assed. Why go the extra mile when it isn't appreciated? So I'm still on stock duty on a Thursday night. While Blobby is down dealing with a customer, I'm in the office inputting the stock figures. I accidentally close the program. I open Blobby's folder where the program is and see a file saying discrepancies. I don't know why I clicked in, but I did. I see my name, Mumbly Bum's folder. Of course I'm going to click in and see what's going down in Funky Town. I'm fucking shocked. There are about 5 subfolders in my folder. Late, dangerous delivery, potential stealing, associates, and hungover. We've already talked about late and dangerous delivery. The stealing one is me leaning over a closed till, but it looks like I'm trying to hide something, which I wasn't. Other nonsense. Associates is pictures of me standing with my co-workers chatting when it wasn't busy, and hungover was screenshots from my Facebook when I was out the night before and then in work the next day. It was clear as day that this cunt handed this information to the owners. Finishing up that night was so fucking rough. I wanted to rip that earring out and pop his baldy head like a pimple, but I played it cool and finished my shift. Monday comes around and I asked to talk to GM. I explain what I've found, and it's really serious because it's invasion of privacy. CCTV should only be used to review footage when something goes wrong, not used to stalk me. The GM says he only found out after the interviews were over. The reason he didn't do them was because he was also leaving. He was a good man and didn't bullshit around. He said Blobby hated me. Didn't know why, but he was always bringing up issues with me. He then recommended me getting a new job because more than likely Blobby was going to be the new GM. My life there would be unbearable if he got it. So I talked to my brother and sister, who are a lot smarter than me, about what roads to go down. File a complaint? What's the point when the owners used his dossier against me? And bring him to court? Too much hassle for very little payoff. If you're still reading you, I applaud you. High five. This is where it gets fun. Blobby wants the GM position more than anything. He has a bit of competition, but he's the front runner. I could spend the next 2 months looking for work, or could be ambitious and try to bury this piece of shit. I chose the latter. So I'm drinking with my girlfriend one night, and we're joking around about how to get revenge. She scares me a little with her suggestions. Some tame ones, like key his car and then a straight jump to burn his house down. If any authorities are watching, we were only joking. And just like that, that fat boy signed his own death certificate. Whilst I'm on the stock shift, he makes a passing remark. We have to start nailing the stock take down to the last popcorn kernel. The yearly stock take is in 6 weeks, and the owner is doing it, and she's a ball breaker. I know all about her. She ripped me to pieces in the interview. Don't worry, Blobby. Mumbly Bum is on the case. Those numbers will be perfect. And he goes for the Oscar with this line. You're a good worker. Fucking travesty, you didn't get the manager's job, but when I get the hot seat, you'll be made a manager as soon as a position comes up. No interview required. What a prick. I'm so good at the stock take that he doesn't even check my work. I'm making the orders and counting the stock. So over the next 6 weeks, I start to fuck shit up. I put the orders in on a Wednesday for a Friday delivery. I normally eyeball it and see what movies are coming out, and we always had a nice bit of stock on hand. Not too much, not too little. That's about to change. I start adding 25% to every order we get in. I show Blob the dockets, he signs them, happy days. Then when I'm doing the stock on Thursday, I put in that we ordered a usual amount. The system balances on the computer, but what we have in the stock rooms is a lot more. I do this for the next 4 weeks. I'm royally fucked if you ever actually looked in the stock rooms. They're nearly exploding with product. Lucky for me, and unlucky for him, he's a lazy cunt. It's the last week before the ball breaker does the end of year stock take. I balance everything on the computer as usual. Before we call it a night, I tell him to check the pre-sales tomorrow. We're going to have a busy weekend, so I say to him, email suppliers and get a bit extra, and it will all get used anyways, and we're looking perfect on the stock count. Granted, I've been adding 25% for the past month or so. But he goes ultra blobby and bangs out an emergency email to our suppliers asking if they could double the standing order for tomorrow. Fucking check fucking mate. When I get home that night, I type up my resignation letter. I ask the GM, who has a couple of weeks left, if I can leave immediately due to unforeseen circumstances. He agrees because he's a good man and gives me his personal number and an amazing written reference. Wishes me the best and thanks me for all my hard work. Like Andy DeFrance, I've crawled through a sea of shit and came out clean on the other side. I confided in one of the regular workers what I've done over a couple of pints. He said the next day when the delivery came, they couldn't fit it all in the 4 different stock rooms. Rule of thumb would be about 3 weeks stock on hand. We must have had about 8. Now I know you're going to say I'm really hurting the owners. I'm not. All the stock will be used, except maybe a few bags of popcorn that will expire. Everything else will get sold for an exorbitant profit. Word on the grapevine was that the yearly stock take went into the wee hours of the morning. 3 a.m. to be precise. Bobby was boxed in. The stock was a clusterfuck. Tens of thousands of euro off. He could take the blame himself and look competent or say I did it, to which he looks worse considering he was behind the dossier to slander me. I don't know what he did. All I know is he didn't get the GM position and within 6 months was working selling furniture. I never spoke to him, but one would hope he knows it was me who fucked him. Fuck you, Blobby, you rotund walking beanbag. Thanks for reading. The ultimate nail in the coffin is when you just like pass a comment like, you might want to order some more, just so we have enough. When we already have like so much stuff that all our stock rooms are full. Oh my gosh. Why? I'm amazed that Blobby did not check the stock. He never did. Ignorance is sometimes not bliss. Anyways, I'm going to end this episode here. Links will be in the description to the main channel and also the second channel, where there's links on the screen to the playlist and the last episode. Go check them out. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. A ding, a ding. Mad Scientist, Mad Scientist.